it's Milou and this is your Wednesday demo with the Narcissist Translator. This week we're focusing on emotional stonewalling, the moment someone shuts down completely when you speak your truth. You'll meet Sienna. She's a widow rebuilding after years with a narcissist, and even though he's gone, she still feels the fear. She shares something honest, nothing cruel, just real, and when the other person goes quiet, flat or emotionally blank, her nervous system goes into full panic mode. Not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't said. If you've ever felt dismissed, wrong, too emotional, or invisible after opening up, then this one's for you. Right, as you can see here in the screen is that I have got Sienna's Narcissist Translator open. Here is a plugged in, ready to go demo with Sienna's situation. This is a fictive situation, so please bear in mind that it's not about a real person. Now I'm going to ask, I shared something honest, not cruel, just real, and their whole energy changed. No response, no eye contact. It was like I didn't exist. I want to understand if that's emotional stonewalling and why it made me feel like I was instantly in danger. Yes, Sienna, what you experienced was emotional stonewalling, and your reaction feeling instantly unsafe is not only valid, it's completely understandable. Let's walk through this gently like Milou would, grounded, honest, and steady. What is emotional stonewalling? Emotional stonewalling is when someone shuts down, withdraws, or refuses to acknowledge you in a moment that requires emotional presence. It's not just needing space, it's silence that's strategic, used to punish, confuse, or control the emotional dynamic. And in your case, you shared something real. They didn't respond, they withheld connection, no eye contact, no feedback, just cold absence. That's stonewalling. It sends a clear, unspoken message. Your truth is too much. Your voice isn't welcome here. It's devastating to someone who spent decades walking on eggshells. Now, why it triggered instant danger? Your body isn't reacting to now, it's reacting to death. The narcissistic dynamics, moments of silence like that were often loaded with threat. Now look what you've done, or you're too emotional, I'm not engaging with that, or you're not worth my time until you fix yourself. So even without words, the withholding became a weapon. That's why your nervous system flooded with panic. That's why your brain screamed, you've crossed the line, you're unsafe. Because in the past, honest expression was met with punishment, not present. This is me explaining something to you that ChatGPT is trying to make us aware of, okay? You are not reacting to what happened in the now. You are actually reacting to something that you were reminded of by this situation, okay? Something that happened in the past that has left traumatic experiences, traumatic memories, and that's what your body has been reacting to in this moment in time. Now, ChatGPT then says, let's flip what you might be telling yourself. Maybe I was too harsh. You were honest, not cruel, just real, and real doesn't require apology. Other people's discomfort is not your responsibility. Your truth isn't a threat. And this always happens when I open up. Maybe I should have stayed quiet. Oh God, I do have this thought myself, and I really recognize this. And I wouldn't be surprised if you do as well, if you've ever experienced emotional stonewalling. This happened because you were conditioned to fear openness, but silence isn't safety, it's suffocation. You basically are hiding yourself, you're hiding your true self, and that is not love, that is conditioning talking. And here's what's actually true. You didn't do anything wrong by being real. Stonewalling is not a healthy or respectful response, and your nervous system is wired to detect emotional shutdown as danger because you used to be in trouble when that happened, okay? You used to have to make up for whatever you had caused in their eyes, and you did that because that's how we were programmed. This is not overreacting, it's a memory. You are now safe to feel, name, and unpack these moments without shame. All right. Now, I'm going to ask for Sienna, why does this still happen? It's been so long, and yet I still find myself in this panic mode. Let's see what he has to say. Because Sienna, trauma doesn't care how much time has passed. It lives in your body, your calendar. And I want you to hear this with your whole heart. You're not broken because it's still happening. You're healing, and healing doesn't always look like calm. It often looks like spirals we learn to interrupt. So let me show you what's really going on underneath the panic. Now, why this still happens after all this time, your nervous system doesn't measure time, it only measures safety. So even 2 years after he passed, if something feels like a threat, like stonewalling, criticism, silence, pressure, you name it, your body reacts like it's happening again because it's remembering. It's remembering what has been programmed into you. It doesn't mean that you're stuck. It means that you're still rewiring, still unlearning the belief that your truth means that it's danger or it will cause danger. You spend 30 plus years in survival mode, if not longer, because you've probably been brought up with a similar situation, which I'm now adding to this, because what we often see is if you are in a narcissistic relationship or have found yourself in one, that's probably been your normal since you've been growing up, because what we see as normal, what we feel as normal, is what we seek out for. That's what we think that we deserve. This is basically what happens. You go from one relationship that's narcissistic with narcissistic tendencies into the next relationship, even though you know it's not working, but you think that you do not deserve any better. That's decades of his moods. Minimizing your needs, interpreting silence as punishment, linking honesty with rejection, and feeling safe only when you stayed small. Now you're building a new way of being where truth doesn't equal punishment and emotion doesn't equal danger. That's wiring takes time, repetition, and compassion to unwind. It's like teaching a dog who's been beaten that the raised hand will not hurt anymore. The instinct doesn't disappear because time passed. It fades as trust builds. So you're not backsliding. I need you to hear this, because this is often what we think when we've got a flashback or a setback or a memory that pops up or a trauma response or whatever that happens. This is not a setback. You're not backsliding. You're deepening. Every time you notice the spiral, pause and reach for support. You're breaking an old cycle. You're not failing because panic showed up. You're growing because you responded differently this time. Albeit that it might happen afterwards because you didn't notice it in the moment yet. This work doesn't erase the past, it changes your relationship with it. Remember, my programs make you learn awareness. They make you create awareness around your situation. Then the next step is creating understanding and acceptance. And from that moment onwards, we go into the exploration, we go into the implementation, we go into the experiencing new truth and new things, because then you know why this whole situation exists in your life. Now, what would Milou remind you right now? Of course, your body still panics. It kept you alive, but now we're letting it know you don't need to brace yourself anymore. You get to breathe. So again, this does not happen in the moment yet. When you're right in the middle of it, this is something that you will need to remind you of afterwards. You will need to remind yourself of this afterwards, because there is absolutely no way that your body and your mind will already come together before a situation like this happens, makes you aware that this is the case. It takes practice. It's that simple. It's not going to change from one day to another. And I hear my clients say it's taking too long. The change isn't going too fast. Of course it's not. If you've been programmed, if you've been conditioned for 50, 60 odd years, it is not going to change from one day to another. If you play it well, if you are 100% into your healing process, this will change, but you need to do the work. I would love for you to do the work, and I would love for you to get better and heal from your traumas and from your narcissistic relationships. However, I cannot do the work for you. I can provide you with the information. I can provide you with the tools. I can ask that extra question that no one has dared to ask you yet. Okay, I can do that. That's my job, and I'm good at it. But I cannot do the work for you. That is something that you will need to do yourself. Now, this is what emotional stonewalling does. It doesn't scream, it erases. It teaches you that honesty costs connection, and your body starts to believe that silence is your fault. Sienna's not dramatic. She's not unstable. She's responding exactly how she was trained to survive. The good news? This is the first step in breaking that training. When you see it clearly, you stop blaming yourself for spiraling after truth. Now, if this hits something in your own story, do not ignore it. Comment translator if you want to learn more about the Narcissist Translator, or send me a DM and I'll get you all the info.